Coach Doug Souls, Great Oak High School, a perennial state and national powerhouse, both the boys and the girls program. How did you first get into running?
I grew up in a household of runners. My uncle was a state champion back in 1985 in Oregon, and it was a situation for us that he would throw us in his Volkswagen Bug, and we would go to weekend 5Ks and 10Ks, and he'd win the big race, and we would run and win the grade level race stuff, and then go out to McDonald's and have a good time. And it was just really good memories of just being a part of that, And my grandparents would take us down to the track and just have us run. So it's just part of what we did when we were kids, and something I was used to. And as I grew up, I ended up being a sprinter and was focused more on the 100 and the 200, and did a little bit of cross country, and then eventually when I got hired as a cross country coach, when you start coaching distance runners, you find that you have a lot more control over them on mindset than a sprinter. It's you can't take a 15 flat 100 meter girl and make her an 11.5 girl, but you can take a 6:30 girl and get her down to 5:20 if you really put in the time. So I felt that as I started as a cross country coach, that I had a lot more control over the kids in terms of performance, and I think that I was definitely interested by that.
I got into high school running, basically played soccer all my life, and kind of had a talent just for, endurance, and just kind of stuck out to all of my coaches in soccer that I really had that talent. So kind of decided that I would try running in high school as a freshman, and took it from there and decided that I was going to take it all the way. So
I was about 5 years old. My parents were trying to get me in any sport I could get into. I was doing karate, swimming. I was doing all kinds of stuff. Then one of my buddies decided to ask me just if I wanted to run one day. I was like, why not? Then a couple years in, I wasn't having a lot of fun, but it was fun being there with my buddies. Then one day, he was just creaming me at practice, and then I just started really getting into it.
Around what age?
5. Yeah, it was real young.
Well, the funny thing is in elementary school, I remember running the mile in 5th grade, and I was like, wow, I'm really fast. And I ran 7:45, which is, I soon learned, was not fast at all. So I joined the local cross country team where I used to live in Santa Clarita. I kept with it, and I'm really glad that I did because of all of the memories that it brought with me with my teammates, my coaches. Just the atmosphere is really great, and I'm glad I stuck with it.
I got my start in running in middle school. I really liked it, and so I ended up joining STTC, which is the program that Great Oak holds in the winter, and it allows middle schoolers to run with a lot of the high schoolers. And it really sort of introduced me to the program and made me want to drop all of my other sports for running.
I started in 8th grade. In 8th grade, I was focused on soccer, and then I met the coach. He came in and introduced me to his program, and then I went to his room. I saw his trophies. I knew he meant business. I knew he was a winner. I knew he knew what he wanted, and he knew how to handle a team, and he knew how to get what he wanted out of us. And I just said, hey, let's give it a go. And then I went through. Halfway through the season, I began to realize that I was actually pretty good at the running thing, so I began to quit soccer and focus on running, and it actually proved to be a pretty good success for me.
What started, my running career was kind of just a 5K as a chubby 6th grader, just the interest of kind of getting something started and something other than soccer. My family's from Argentina. I'm the first one born here, so it was kind of a passion of mine to just try out new sports. I was big in basketball, soccer, you name whatever sport I played. So I think 100 Mile Club and middle school, Mr. White, really helped me out and breed my kind of love for running.
100 Mile Club as in junior high, middle school?
Yes, sir. Yes,
wow.
sir.
Okay. So first, your background as far as running. How'd you get into running?
My family, a lot of runners in my family. Uncles ran pretty competitively in high school, college. I didn't personally start running until my junior year of high school. I actually raced BMX bikes growing up, did that, traveled all over the country. Ironically, I broke my arm twice in 1 year. So I came out for the cross country team my junior year with a cast the first half of the year, and qualified for the state meet as an individual, and just kind of fell in love with it. And being around it my whole life with my family, I used to go to Rando's Island. I'd go to all these track meets. I'd watch Carl Lewis and sprinters, and I was really into distance running. And the Goodwill games were on Long Island back in the day, and where I grew up, and I was always around it. So I always kind of knew about it, but for some reason, it wasn't the cool sport to do when you were a kid. And then my junior year, I decided to start it, and I fell in love and dropped everything else I did, and continued and ran in college, and just always had it in my life from then.
That's a terrible video, but I think he just went like 22 miles today.
Yeah, I know, 22 big ones.
There you go. Woo!
Well, my mom was actually a collegiate runner in college for the University of Nebraska. And when I was in 3rd grade, she's like, hey, you should try out for track. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I wasn't really into running before that. So then I joined the youth track team, the local youth track team, and then found out that I was actually pretty good at it. And then I just kept with it, and now I'm here where I am now.
My mom actually forced me to join the youth Newbury Park running team. She started running when she was younger, and she ran through college, so then she basically made me, and I hated it at first, but I grew to love it eventually.
How long would that take before it began to grow on you?
I say high school probably is when I started. Yeah.
What changed?
Definitely the coaching and the atmosphere of the team bonding, definitely.
I primarily got into running because of my parents and as a way to stay in shape for basketball and baseball, because that was kind of my initial dream when I was younger, to just kind of get into NBA, MLB, college basketball and all that. But my parents have always been into running, and my mom does half marathons and marathons a lot, and my dad ran in high school, and so he always kind of held it over my head that I would have to break his records one day in the 16 and 32.
So I started off running in youth cross country and track, and I was kind of influenced by my dad because he was a marathon runner and he really liked to run. But also in elementary school, I also liked to push the pace with my friends, just doing PE, physical education, and I just really got into it for youth track and cross.
I first got started into running when I was about 5 or 6 years old, when my mom's best friend told her that I looked pretty fast running around in my backyard, and I decided to do track. So
it was mainly just my brother and my dad that kind of convinced me to start running. Originally I was a dancer and I hurt myself, and I just never really got the motivation to get back into it. So then my brother and my dad were just saying, you can't do nothing, so they just convinced me to start running my freshman year.
Getting the parent support can be very difficult. The one thing I always told my program when I first started, I said, if the parents don't believe in what I'm doing, it'll never happen.
When they come in from the first moment, we let them know this is going to be more than just a running club. This is going to be high-end expectation across the board.